Right everyone, we are back with a brand new video for a brand new week. It is Monday, and Monday often means a bit of looking back and a bit of looking ahead as well. The latter will be to do with Hearts, who we play twice over the next 6 days. The former will be looking back at yesterday's win over St Mirren with your wonderful help. Oh no, that insufferable fool is plugging his book again. Yeah, apologies if I've become, even more unbearable over the last wee period with all these mentions for my book. Today's mention, I'll keep it short and sweet. It's quite a big one actually. Basically, due to the book taking off, which was a publisher's quote in stores around Scotland, the said publishers, the legends at Pitch Publishing, have brought forward the release date of Never Stop, How Ange Postecoglou Brought the Fire Back to Celtic forward a week. It was meant to be next Monday it came out. It is actually out today. It's out right now. You can get this book. You can buy it on Amazon right now. I'll stick a link below. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can get it as early as tomorrow in your hands, start reading it, etc. If you don't have Amazon Prime, I think it's something like Thursday or Friday you'll have to wait to, but that's not too bad. So that's basically the announcement for today, is that this book is now out now. Now, I know a lot of you pre-ordered, and I love you for that. I really appreciate it. I guess probably the majority would want to wait till this was, I can stop holding it up now, till it was actually out. So yeah, you can get it now. Description below. There will be an ebook coming as well. Some of you may be holding on for that. And if you have any other questions about, how you can get this book, please hit me up on Twitter, tweet me, DM me at Hamish Carton, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. If you're kind of overseas in like America, or even more so in Australia, it may be a little bit tougher to get your hands on a copy. But for example, in Australia, I know Dimmocks, who I think are one of the big dogs over there, are stocking it. So it is possible to get it. And if you buy it, you won't need to hear me going on about it anymore. Right, let's move on. We'll start with the league table as usual, and shock horror, Celtic are still top of the Premiership. Just amazing league form this season. Yesterday seems to have been the trigger for some people to ask that beautiful question, when's the earliest we can win the league? Still feels a little bit early for me there with 11 games to go. Let's get through our next two league games, which are tough ones against Hearts and Hibs, both at Celtic Park. And at that stage, if we win both of them, I'll maybe take a look at that kind of stuff. In terms of yesterday, it was job done. I came back from the game, rewatched it. I actually thought, first half we maybe weren't quite as bad as I'd felt at the time. At the game I felt we were completely hopeless. We did create some opportunities. On the flip side, St Mirren didn't really create anything throughout the whole match from open play. At all. I don't think Joe Hart really has a save to make at all in the game, unless I'm missing anything. But even in that first half, when we weren't at our best, we did create a couple of really good opportunities. There was the one Hatate kind of just put over the bar, may even have glanced the bar on the way over, which would have been a complete screamer. There was also the nice move between Hatate and Jota, where Jota forces Carson into a pretty good save, I think, with his shoulder. So we did have some opportunities, but it goes without saying the performance in the second half was much better. It turned into an onslaught. It showed how knackering it is to play against this Celtic team. With 11 men, I think St Mirren would have fared a lot better, probably only lost 4-1, but with 10 men, a 5-1 defeat was what they went down to. And yeah, we roll on. We did actually get a number of comments in. The first one I want to bring up is from KK, who got in touch saying, I still don't think that Celtic fans understand Ange Ball. The first half was not the disappointment that Hamish and co are saying it was. Without the hard work in the first half, you wouldn't have the collapse in the second half. St Mirren nerves were frayed. Abada wouldn't have been as effective without St Mirren being bruised in the first half. I think there's a fair amount of merit in what you're saying there. Obviously, St Mirren were exhausted physically, mentally. Is there other ways you can be exhausted emotionally in that second half? I mean, the way we were coming on to them, I think we got that second goal from Johnson, and then after that it was like there was a phase where every time we went forward you felt we were going to score, and I think we actually scored 2 goals in a couple of minutes after that as well, and they did just look totally knackered. So I get that point. It's maybe not even a byproduct of Ange Ball. It maybe is, a real kind of cornerstone of Ange Ball, and how knackered the opposition get. I remember those quotes, always remember them, from Ryan McGowan, the Ange telling the Australian players, if you feel knackered doing all of the things I'm asking you to, the quick goal kicks, the quick throw-ins, the lack of, break, then imagine how the opposition are going to feel without the ball. So there's definitely a huge element in that. But equally, though, I don't think we should just write off the first half and say, oh, that's fine, that was the game plan all along, we're trying to knacker them out so we could win the game in the second half. Celtic can play much better in the first half than they did yesterday. We have battered teams. We've won a lot of games recently in the first half alone, so I think it's alright to say the first half wasn't great, but also to acknowledge that even though maybe the football wasn't sparkling, it was important in terms of getting the points in the end, and we got a real rewards in the second half. Next comment in from Wolf from Ironside, 2 points. Jota is a natural left winger. He absolutely loves to cut in from the left and looks lost trying to cut in from the right. His main weapon is a great right step, which is wasted when he's on the right wing as it sends him out wide. Against top teams who come at Celtic, Maida is excellent pressing and harassing, but against the bus, 80% of his game is lost. I would say that's relatively fair. In the main, Jota is certainly better on the left. The thing is, though, you could say the same about Haksabanovic and Maida. They're both far better on the left. Abada and Forrest are kind of the two that are better on the right. We've not really seen Forrest lately. I don't think he was even in the matchday squad again yesterday. So that is an issue. I think Maida and Jota are our 2 best wingers, and you can't play both of them on the left. So it feels like Jota's always the one, just because he's got the more kind of all-rounded game probably than Maida in terms of technically. He can play on the right, but he's certainly much better on the left. The reason I've got sympathy with Maida yesterday, I thought this at the time, but having watched it as well, I really didn't feel we got much space at all on that left-hand side. Taylor, Maida, very cramped. Just think the way St Mirren were defending. They probably saw how much joy we'd got on the left-hand side against Rangers in the cup final. Both of our goals arrived from the left, crosses across into Kyogo. And I felt certainly in the first half yesterday, second half as well, but the right-hand side was where all of the space was. And in that first half, it was Johnston, Moy and Jota. I didn't feel we made enough of it. Maida and Abada, I think, are really good if they've got lots of space and can be direct. Jota's almost better if he's kind of sizing a defender up. And I think that's what Ange did at half-time yesterday. I've got a very basic tactical brain. In fact, basics probably being kind. But the way I saw it was Jota moved to the left-hand side. He had players around him, but was able to work bits of magic. And even if it wasn't himself, if it was just attracting a couple of players and then knocking it, inside, and then would switch the play again, and Abada would be in loads of room. And I feel like that's where we really got, our devastation yesterday. So for me, the moral of that terrible story is that we have so many attackers who are different and offer us different things for different moments, and I think that's what Ange is going for. A lot of the time we look at the Celtic team, and even with the wingers, we kind of look at Maida and Abada as being one kind, and Jota and Haksabanovic as being another. But I think even between Jota and Haksabanovic, there's real differences there, and Abada and Maida, there's clearly differences. So I just thought it was a case of Ange getting it spot on at half time and getting a really, really good showing from Abada, crucial in terms of the result and coming back. But equally Jota as well, I thought, really stood up and was counted in that second half. Finally, Daniel saying, Hamish, thoughts on taking the penalty. Just a bit of gamesmanship for how far ahead we were, or is he our backup penalty taker? Wasn't a great penalty either. Personally, don't think Ange would give a penalty to just anyone, so we're surprised to see him take it. I don't know how to put this, and apologies if you're watching, but people started laughing when he started doing that run-up yesterday. If you actually watch it on telly and you turn your volume right up, when he starts his run-up, you can actually hear some people laughing, and they must have been near me in the stand, because it was a kind of strange moment. I mean, it was a weird run-up, but I didn't find it, particularly hilarious. It wasn't a great penalty, but I guess it went in, so that's all that matters. In terms of, going forward, whether he is a penalty taker or even one of the, whatever it was, the backup penalty taker, I think Moy is certainly going to be the guy that if he's on the pitch, he'll take them, certainly in major moments. Hatate as well seems to be, in the reckoning, so probably between those three, but Moy takes them if he's on the park. But please stop laughing at O taking penalties. Laugh at his celebration, because that was just terrible, but beyond that, nice to see him getting a goal. Going back to Jota, I just wanted to read out a wee quote from BBC Radio Scotland post-match yesterday, because I thought it was interesting. Jota really, really saying what we're all thinking. Who is Stephen Thompson? No, not that one. Yeah, believe it or not, Jota was actually asked that in that BBC interview, who is Stephen Thompson, and shockingly, Jota didn't know who Stephen Thompson was. I mean, why would he? Anyway, this was the main quote from Jota I wanted to talk about. He said, "To answer about the pressure, I'm not sure if it's a pressure. I think it's like a healthy anxiety, but a good one. We are always in this mood of, it's coming, so now we need to prepare and be good. Once we are on the field, it's okay, and there is no pressure after that. I speak for myself, everyone is different." So that's obviously, in response to a question asked about, when we went behind yesterday, how did he feel on the pitch? Did he feel the pressure? And it's interesting to hear he says it's a healthy anxiety. I always think this way, because I wouldn't describe my feelings when Celtic went behind yesterday and for the rest of that first half as being healthy. I mean, at half-time yesterday, I would say I was pretty nervous. If we'd have lost the game yesterday, we're only 6 points clear of our rivals. We've still got 2 derby games to go. These are all the things that go through your mind as a supporter when you're at the game. And yeah, we've got full faith in the team, to get back into the game. And part of me always felt we would, but it doesn't stop you having those dark thoughts in the first half of, God, if we lose here, that's kind of undone a lot of the good work from last week in terms of the psychological advantage, not in terms of the trophy. And, 6 points suddenly doesn't seem as much, certainly not as many as 9. But the players out on the pitch aren't Celtic fans, certainly the vast majority aren't Celtic fans, and even if they are Celtic fans, they're not going to think like fans when they're on the pitch. I mean, I doubt Jota or Hatate or Kyogo or Cameron Carter-Vickers are running around that pitch thinking, if we lose this game, we're only down to 6, and all the stuff that goes through a supporter's mind. So it's always worth bearing that in mind, and maybe I need to chill out a little bit at games. But then again, that's what being a supporter is about, I guess. But it was interesting to hear Jota, talking about that healthy anxiety. I'd rather not have any anxiety this week. We've got a couple of games up against Hearts, double Hearts, you could say. We play them on Wednesday night at Celtic Park in the league, and then on Saturday lunchtime at Tynecastle in the quarter-final of the Scottish Cup. So it's going to be very intense. I kind of love these back-to-back games. Are usually like Saturday to Saturday, or at least weekend to weekend. Getting it Wednesday, Saturday, and one at each stadium, and against like a big club in Hearts, a team that don't really have much time for us, and likewise. So I think it's going to be really good. We're going to get a big crowd at Celtic Park. Certainly going to be virtually packed on Saturday for that huge cup tie. There's always a danger maybe with the cup tie coming, and given that it's at Tynecastle, that you kind of overlook the game on Wednesday. I'm talking as supporters, obviously not players. But I think Wednesday's a big one as well. As I said earlier, if we can get through Wednesday, the Cup's its own thing, but Wednesday playing Hearts is one of our tougher games that we have got to go before the end of the season. We've got Hibs coming up as well, and it's all just about ticking off these games and getting 3 more points. So that's a long way of saying that it's a very exciting week. It's also Ange's 100th competitive game in charge of Celtic on Wednesday night, so we're excited about that. We'll be chatting all about that game tomorrow. So yeah, join us then and buy my book, link in description.